Nirvana Farm is located in the area called Atlantis in the Western Cape, and it's an area that is a hotbed for biodiversity, especially for a special type of fynbos called Atlantis sunfell fynbos. But recently, with urban expansion and sprawl, a lot of the habitat is disappearing. About 20 years ago, my partner Tony and I were looking for properties in this area, somewhere where we could move our horses, and came across this property. It didn't look like what it does today. It was covered in alien vegetation like Port Jackson's, blue gum, myrtle, etc. But on our first visit here, we came across a herd of buck on this farm amongst all this alien vegetation, and we said, this must be the place for us. And so began a process of alien clearing, and we didn't have rehabilitation of the fynbos in our mind at the time, but we came across some amazing bulbs that we couldn't find in books on fynbos. So we had the Biodiversity Institute out here, and they were rather surprised to see some of these bulbs, which they thought were extinct. And so began our journey of rehabilitating the veld here into what you see today. It's mainly, I would say, geared towards fynbos rehabilitation. We're a private nature reserve, and that's really our daily task here, is to ensure we continue our alien clearing and stuff like that. Every 10 years or so, we have to burn the veld in order to regenerate the senescent growth. In other words, growth that has become, the term is moribund, isn't growing anymore. So we have help from the city of Cape Town to conduct these ecological burns. So far, the list is just under 200 that we've identified, and we have visits from like the crew team from the Biodiversity Institute that conduct regular monitoring of species here. What's impressive about this site in particular is 1 in 3 species are on the endangered list, so species that, if weren't conserved, would go extinct. Some of the biggest threats to fynbos in this area in particular is urban sprawl and transformation of the land into like agricultural type of soils. Then there's the too frequent burns that kind of depletes the seed stocks within the soil. So, of course, there's pollution as well. That's a huge thing now in this area with a big housing development down the road, etc. But yeah, I would say habitat destruction is the biggest. So what makes the farm unique in this area? It's one of the last expanses of fynbos that's kept in such a pristine state, including species that you'd likely never see anywhere else in the world, like the miniature proteas, the bulbs that come up. In spring, the farm becomes carpeted with those daisies that you see. And I think it's one of the few private land in the city of Cape Town where we've given up, I'd say, about 80% of the extent of the property to conservation itself. We haven't really fully developed the farm in like a commercial money-making kind of way. We have occasional film shoots and photographic shoots, and we give walks to public who are interested in the farm. I mean, it's more, I think, a kind of spiritual endeavor than a commercial endeavor for me to know that we're leaving a legacy for future generations, that these plants will survive, especially these rare ones that are very vulnerable.